Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're decoding exactly how the Constitution of Tajikistan structures power right in your own community. We're going to go strictly article by article, unpacking Articles 76 through 83. It's honestly fascinating to see how the highest law of the land translates into the everyday nuts and bolts of local governance.
But before we get into the actual legal text, I want you to ask yourself, who holds the real power in your local district? How do they get it? And maybe more importantly, how are they held accountable? You know, it's so easy to just focus on the national government. But the reality is that the decisions affecting your daily life, stuff like local roads and community budgets, well, those are made much closer to home.
So, to demystify these mechanics, we're breaking down the Constitution into 5 blocks. First, local representatives. Second, executive leadership. Third, village self-government. Fourth, checks and balances. And finally, GBAO autonomy.
All right, let's start with Section 1, Local Representatives, covering Articles 76 and 77.
Starting right at the foundation, Article 76 splits local state power into 2 distinct branches, the representative branch and the executive branch. But, and this is key, local bodies don't just operate in a vacuum. Article 76 explicitly states that their primary constitutional mandate is to ensure the implementation of the Constitution, national laws, and the decrees of the President and the government. Basically, they're the local engines meant to drive national policy forward within their specific territories.
So who actually makes up this representative branch? Well, Article 77 introduces the people who represent you. The local representative body in a region, city, or district is called the Majlisi of People's Deputies. And the magic number to remember here is 5. Deputies to this local Majlisi serve a precise, constitutionally mandated term of exactly 5 years.
The crucial point here is understanding what these deputies actually do. Article 77 outlines their heavy-hitting responsibilities. This local assembly, they hold the purse strings. They approve the local budget and the report on its execution. They determine the paths for the area's socioeconomic development. They legally set local taxes and payments, and they manage communal property. I mean, they literally direct the economic future of your region.
Moving on to Section 2, Executive Leadership, under Article 78.
How exactly does the executive branch function? This is where we meet the rais, or the chairperson, who leads the local executive body. Now, we just established that the Majlisi writes the local rules and handles the budgets, but Article 78 states that the rais is the executive who actually leads the region, city, or district. And here is a really fascinating structural twist. The Constitution explicitly states that in administrative territorial units, both the representative and executive bodies are headed by the rais. That is a massive concentration of local administrative power in just one executive role.
So how does someone actually become a rais? Article 78 lays out an exact chain of command. It's a top-down process, but with a local check. Step 1, the rais of a region, city, or district is appointed and dismissed directly by the president. Step 2, that appointment is submitted to the relevant local Majlisi of People's Deputies. And Step 3, they have to approve it. This shows us that executive leadership flows directly downward from the president, sure, but it deliberately requires that local assembly's formal approval. Plus, the rais is ultimately responsible to both those higher bodies and to that local Majlisi.
Okay, Section 3, Village Self-Government, covered by Article 79.
Dropping down to the absolute grassroots level, the towns and villages, the constitutional organ of self-government is called the Jama'at. This is where governance touches daily life most directly for a lot of citizens. While the Constitution establishes the Jama'at as the foundation of local self-government, Article 79 notes that its specific organization, powers, and activities are regulated by a separate, dedicated law. It is really the essential building block of local civic life.
Next up, Section 4, Checks and Balances, found in Article 80.
So, what happens when things go wrong? Both the representative bodies and the rais have the power to adopt legal acts that are binding in their territory. But let's say a local Majlisi or a rais adopts an act that contradicts the Constitution or national laws. Well, it's not permanent. The law clearly states that these contradictory acts can be struck down and canceled. They can be overturned by higher authoritative bodies, by the body that issued it itself, by the rais, or, crucially, by a court of law.
And you know, the checks and balances go even further for systemic issues. If a local Majlisi of People's Deputies continuously and systematically ignores or fails to execute the demands of the Constitution and the law, there's a severe consequence.
The National Upper House of Parliament, the Majlis-e Milli, holds the ultimate trump card. They have the constitutional authority to dissolve that local assembly entirely. It's a pretty powerful mechanism to ensure local governments never just go rogue.
Finally, we reach Section 5, GBAO Autonomy, covering Articles 81 through 83.
The Constitution actually dedicates specific articles to the Gorno-Badakhshan Autonomous Region, or GBAO. Article 81 opens with some incredibly powerful definitive language. The Gorno-Badakhshan Autonomous Region is an integral and indivisible part of the Republic of Tajikistan. This really establishes the immense constitutional weight of GBAO status. It honors its autonomy while cementing its unbreakable bond with the wider republic.
To further protect this unique autonomy, the Constitution guarantees the physical space of the region. The text explicitly mandates that the geographic boundaries and the territory of GBAO are locked in. They literally cannot be altered or changed without the proper consent of the local Majlisi. It's a geographical guarantee written right into the foundational law.
And beyond just geography, Article 83 guarantees that GBAO retains specific, independent powers. The region has constitutional authority over its social affairs, its economic development, and its cultural sphere, all governed by a specific constitutional law. But perhaps most remarkably, GBAO possesses the right of legislative initiative. That means they have the power to formally propose new laws at the national level. It gives them a profound and totally unique voice in the Republic's legal landscape.
So we've walked through the exact flow of local power, from the president down to the local Jamaat. Understanding these 8 articles isn't just some academic legal exercise, it's the very foundation of your active citizenship. You now know who writes the budgets, who leads the executive, and the mechanisms in place to keep them all in check. So the question I leave you with is this. Now that you know exactly how the machinery works, how will you use this knowledge to engage with and hold your local government accountable in your own district?